Hot SEO topics, hot takes, right now from Edge Studios.
This lands straight into our conversation today. From Krebs on Security from Brian Krebs, Capital One data theft impacts 106 million people. On July 29th, FBI agents arrested Paige A. Thompson on the suspicion of downloading nearly 30 gigs of Capital One credit application data from a rented cloud data server. Capital One said the incident affected approximately 100 million people in the United States and 6 million people in Canada. Check this out. The data included approximately 140,000 Social Security numbers, 80,000 bank account numbers. Importantly, no credit card account numbers or login credentials were compromised. So are they saying that the Capital One numbers weren't compromised, but everything that actually got them registered were? So, all right. So that was a huge news item, and one of the biggest ones, of course, in this year, but over the course of breaches and security, it's been huge. So give us your take on what Capital One did as a response, and more importantly, how in the world can these credit card companies even protect themselves in the cloud space?
Sure. I think what you're starting to see here is the fears of founded or not are starting to come real for a lot of folks that have made that journey into the cloud. Like with anything, as it becomes with scale, right, you have the risk of that then being there. Right. And the folks that were traditionally setting up these data centers and controls and things like that for on-premise traditional infrastructures are now moving into the cloud. A lot of those folks that learned all the lessons and got all the scars and burns from when they put it in, when it was physical or virtual inside their own data centers, typically not the same people that are doing these new things in the cloud. And you'll have a lot of folks that have done it for the first time or maybe for the third time going into the cloud because it hasn't been around that long, right? So I think these folks are starting to understand all the traditional security problems haven't gone away just because you went to the cloud.
Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see more of our content, or especially more of this week's featured guest, including a full-length interview, head on over to YouTube and search for Edge of the Web. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell if you want to see digital marketing news as it happens.